Hello, welcome to the Money and Market Show. I'm Charles Board, your host. Now, a quick look at Uganda's economy today will give you a picture that's fairly mixed. On one side, you have positives. On the other side, you have pressures or risks, emanating from certain quarters. Take, for instance, inflation. It has been maintained at 3.2%, single digit. Now, the Uganda shilling is also fairly stable. However, this stability has come with, some cost to the private sector especially. Because for inflation to be where it is, it means the central bank had to move the CBR rate up. And what this signals to the banks is that don't lend much to the private sector. And of course, that's why we see today it's a bit hard or tricky for the private sector to get money out of the banks. And where they can, actually, it comes at a fairly higher cost. But we'll be revisiting that story in our subsequent shows. It is Money and Markets once again. Welcome. Now, on this show, we're committed to sharing with you tips on how you can make money, grow it, and then keep it. Now, today, we're paying special attention to the oil retail business. Of course, we're seeing quite a number of petrol stations opening around Kampala. And many are wondering, are these guys really making money? Now, there are principles that one has to keep at heart to make money in this space.
Going into fuel business is very rewarding, and at the same time, it can be catastrophic. People see the outside, but there is a lot that is involved. Now, when you want to go into this business, a fuel business, there are different modes of being a dealer. Number one, you can come to a company that is a station that is owned, then you operate it. That's company owned and dealer operated. Then the second option, you go and build your own station. You go into an understanding with the fuel marketing company, then it's dealer owned and dealer operated. The other option is also you build your own station and you become an independent person. So then if I'm a company, some stations that I run is on the concept which we call COCO, company owned, company operated. The company owns the station and also runs the business. Now, that one will leave it out because now we are looking at someone who wants to start and run a fuel business. Let's look at company owned, dealer operated. The company owns the station. It sets the prices for you. It appoints you as a dealer, as an agent, and gives you a commission, what we call a dealer margin. And what people need to understand, you can go to a station and find a price when it's 6,000 shillings. It does not mean when the price goes up, the person who's a dealer benefits. It's the company that benefits. Your dealer margin, your person who, as a dealer, is always fixed. If it's 80 shillings, it's 80 shillings. Then the other one, dealer owned, dealer operated. You have a franchise of a company. For example, company X. It comes and brands your station. You agree on margins. The margins are slightly better because the only thing that you're doing is you are paying for their brand. That is, the margins that you get are much higher because, and you are not you have an agreement that is not stringent and you cannot easily be fired. Then the other option that we have, you go, buy your land, construct your own station, and have the name that you may choose. You may call it Dan Petrol Station. So those are some of the options that we do have. Now, I think, but all the options that we are looking at, when you decide to go into this fuel business, you must have time to run the fuel station. If you don't have time, I can assure you, the money you put in, you definitely lose all the money. Reason being, fuel is it's an easily convertible commodity. It can easily be converted into cash. Because, Charles, if you came to me and I gave you a jerrycan of petrol, or I pulled from my wallet and I gave you the money, it's almost the same thing because you turn a corner and said it. But let's put it in the same concept. If you came to me and said, Charles, I don't have money. I have 10 saucepans here. Go and sell them and get money. You'll be stuck with them. So because fuel is highly convertible into cash. And what people don't realize, it's like you bring everybody else and put them in the bank, and they are all touching money. So the supervision must be thorough, extremely thorough. Because I've seen guys who have started extremely small in my 21 years in this fuel industry, and now have over 30, 50 stations. They are here in this country, examples. Then I know people who have said, let's start. He started big, he's built 5 stations at the same time, and collapsed completely. Are you going to look at volumes or the margins? And when you are lucky, you get both, volumes and margins. There are places, look at Chengera, station after station. Look at Banda, Bweyogerere, Chireka and beyond. Bwaise, Kawempe, Kagoma and beyond. You see station after station. But you ask yourself, how are they surviving? They survive because of the sheer volumes. So the margins are small, but you are getting volumes. But if you are lucky and get places, for example, if you see stations, actually it's a station on Wampeo Avenue or the ones on Kampala Road, you see or in Bunga in residential areas, because those people are not looking at, they are not looking at, the ones in residential areas, they are my cars, they are not so price sensitive. They are not price sensitive, like on Chengera Road, Masaka Road, Bwaise. Who are people who are driving these cars? These are people who hired. These are trucks, buses, taxis, who have to maximize on fuel so that they have more money, because at the end of the day or over the weekend, they have to account to the owner of the state or the owner of the taxi or the truck of the vehicle and give him the money. So they try to squeeze. The prices are always down. So those are the same. If you have identified that, you look, you do that market survey and say, this is what I want. Then you identify the land. Before you buy it, you go to the authorities, the municipal authorities, city authorities, and ask about the plan of that particular area. If they tell you that, yeah, you can put up a station, you can go ahead and buy the place and get what we call approved plans, that the plans have been approved for a petrol station. Then you can put the equipment, the pump, the tanks. And on the tanks, maybe let me say something. Right now, you see we are getting out from the business of depots, having depots, because it's an extra expense. Trucks are coming direct and delivering to petrol stations. So it's advisable that your tank of a particular product, petrol or diesel, it should be at least 50,000 liters. So that when a truck comes, it goes and drops from there, because people are getting out of the depot business because of it's very expensive. Then once all that is done, you go back to, of course they are seeing what they will come on site. Theoretically, they should come on site. They come on site, and then you are given an operating license that lasts you 5 years. Then every 5 years, it's renewable. Yes, those are the stages that you have to go through. But of course, also when you're buying, there's a minimum standard, a minimum. You may say, how come someone is having a station in a very, very small plot, but you don't know what the future holds, because the rules are there. The frontage should be about 30 feet. At least there is that bare minimum. So those are the things that are necessary before you start a petrol station. Then once you start running the station, your supply source, who's going to supply you? The supply source. Do you have working capital? Once you have working capital, your margins also remain good because you are not getting credit. But if you come to me and say you want credit, first of all, I'll say I cannot supply you these quantities already, because I want to protect myself from exposure. If you want 50,000 liters, I'll give you 10,000 liters so that you sell and you bring back. And in that, you are unable to expand. But in case you have your own money and you're able to you can purchase from any person you feel. That's the beauty with Uganda. You can buy from any independent person, any oil marketing company. So you buy, you have that source of supply. But I've forgotten a very important aspect in all this. The staff is very, very vital. They need thorough training. They need thorough training including yourself as an investor, as an owner. The other thing that I will still also emphasize, yes, you've trained staff, these are human beings, and the payment also that in this industry remains, you work hard and it's not adequate. If someone is not stealing from you, they will try to steal from the customer. So that's why, and once what they call MPO, that someone has been given air, if your station is associated with that, or it's associated with spiking means putting kerosene in petrol, then you lose customers. So your supervision is very, very important. But with the advance of technology, these things are being addressed. You can check the fuel every morning to know that it has not been spiked. And there are other controls, make sure you lock the tanks. You need total involvement. This business needs total involvement. In case you don't have time, do not do it. But again, you built something very beautiful and you failed to run it. There is always hope. You go to one of the oil marketing companies, you discuss and release it to them. They give you your money, they come and run it or appoint their own dealer. You sit, if they have advanced your money for 5 years, every after 5 years you come and pick your money as per the agreement.
Now, blessed by nature is a slogan that many of us are used to, simply because Ugandan soils have been good and provided by nature the way they are. They can support almost any form of agriculture. However, years of constant usage without much addition of nutrients has depleted these soils, according to pundits. And today, we're finding out what can be done to remedy this situation. The acidity levels of Ugandan soils have been increasing over the years, signaling less fertility and therefore productivity of the country's soils. Recent research figures show that the worst hit areas are central and western Uganda, with pH levels of 4.5%. This is currently threatening the agricultural sector's productivity and the wider economy, considering the fact that Uganda is an agro-based economy, with the bulk of its people relying on agriculture for survival.
What we know for agriculture is that productivity is very low. I read the World Bank report. The scientists can help me. It said total factor productivity has been negative since 2000. So for the last 24 years, total factor productivity has been negative for Uganda. Which means when we combine all the factors of production together, what we get out is really not what we have put in terms of labor, capital, land, and what have you.
As part of the effort to get the sector into a more productive space, several pundits are now rooting for fertilizer application promotion and use of other organic additives to replenish the soils. Even as many continue to root for this intervention, a major hurdle that many farmers are contending with is the poor quality of fertilizers on the market.
60% of the fertilizers on the market, what was in the contents inside could not talk to what is labeled on the pack. Fake fertilizers across, and farmers are not stupid, by the way, they are very smart. So why would I use a fake fertilizer when I apply or not, my results are the same? So farmers need protection in very many ways, and that will explain to you why the farmers in Chisoro are going to go and penetrate the Rwandese fertilizer. I already see that fertilizer coming in from Rwanda, drops in Chisoro town, and the farmers are fighting for.
Beyond fertilizer application, experts note that the country also needs to invest in research to establish the missing nutrients in the soils to guide the fertilizer application process by farmers. This, however, remains a tough call considering the fact that the soil data available is not updated.
We are really in the struggle to provide the stakeholders with as much accurate information as possible. Because like now, when you go to the map, the soils map of Uganda, we have 17 sheets. Kampala sheets is from River Nile to River Kafu. That's Kampala sheet. So there are so many grades which are there, which I don't want to present. You cannot do precision targeted fertilizer, because after soil mapping, we produce a crop suitability map. That coffee cannot grow in this area. This area is deficit in calcium, because the way professors present is my professor. We might over-apply. Because like now, MAIF, the recommendation, nitrogen, phosphorus. For the potassium just coming in, so they're able to justify the level of degradation. But if a farmer might go out there and buy phosphorus or potassium without applying nitrogen. So we need balanced fertilizer, and that was tasked to MAIF. When we read the government produced a fertilizer policy in 2006, which was supposed to be reviewed after every 5 years. And the ministry has already initiated a process to review the policy and the strategy. Now we are tasked to develop balanced fertilizer formulations. You might say that this fertilizer is good, but you're applying the wrong fertilizer and wrongly.
The government produced a fertilizer policy in 2006, which was supposed to be reviewed every 5 years. Now, the absence of such updated information and research, but its note presents a challenge in dealing with Uganda's soil issues. In this case, the growing soil acidity in the most farming active soils of the country in central and western Uganda.